Hey there, my friend. Let me ask you something right off the bat. When was the last time you looked at the Cowboys linebacker group and genuinely felt excited? Like, really believed that group could dominate a game? Be honest. Because for a while now, it's felt like that room's been hanging by a thread. Good players here and there, but no consistent identity. But guess what? That might be changing this offseason. And it's not just hype. There's real buzz building around a part of this Cowboys defense that's been overlooked for far too long. You've probably heard people say this before, but it hits different when it comes from someone with their boots on the ground, like Nick Harris from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He's been watching these off-season workouts, and the group that's standing out to him the most? Linebackers. Not Micah Parsons, not the pass rushers. The linebackers. Let that sink in for a second. And you know what? That's not by accident. It's about coaching. Matt Eberflus is back in Dallas, and his fingerprints are already all over this defense. If you remember the best versions of Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, and Leighton Vander Esch, you remember what Eberflus can do. He's not just a guy with a whistle. He's a real developer of talent. He sees potential and pulls it out, especially from linebackers who may have lost their way or are still figuring it out. So here we are. The linebacker group is suddenly deep, competitive, and showing flashes in OTAs. And if you're not paying attention yet, I'm telling you, it's time. There's a shift happening. The same way Philly leans on Jeff Stoutland to churn out elite offensive lines, Dallas may finally have its own secret weapon again. And this time, it's on defense. What do you think? Do you believe Matt Eberflus can truly rebuild this linebacker room? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. And let's run a quick poll. Who do you think will emerge as the breakout linebacker this year? Vote below. Now, let's dig deeper into who's actually in this room, because the competition is fierce. All right, let's break down the players in this linebacker room, because it's a fascinating mix of stories. Veterans trying to prove they're not done, underdogs clawing for a spot, and even a few guys who've been given second chances by this new coaching staff. And when you look at them through the lens of Eberflus's system, things start to make a whole lot more sense. Let's start with Eric Kendricks. Yeah, he's not the same player he was in Minnesota during his all-pro years, but don't write him off just yet. The guy's still one of the smartest linebackers in the game. He's reuniting with Eberflus, who knows exactly how to use him. Think of Kendricks as the brain of the operation. He'll help communicate the scheme, mentor the younger guys, and still make plays in coverage. He might not lead the team in tackles, but his leadership, that could be everything. Now here's where it gets interesting. Damone Clark and DeMarvion Overshown. Clark had an up-and-down 2023, no doubt. But he's got all the physical tools you'd want in a modern linebacker. Speed, burst, and sideline-to-sideline range. And Eberflus seems to believe he can unlock Clark's game. That's huge. As for Overshown, we didn't get to see him at all last year because of the ACL injury in preseason. But go back and watch his college tape. This guy is aggressive, fast, and built to disrupt. If he's healthy, Overshown could be a breakout star. Don't sleep on guys like Buddy Johnson either. This coaching staff clearly sees something in him because he's getting real reps. And then there's Marist Liufau, the rookie from Notre Dame. He's raw, but tough and highly coachable. Think of him as a long-term project with real upside. So here's a question for you. Who do you think will make the biggest leap under Matt Eberflus this season? Overshown? Clark? Or maybe a surprise name we haven't mentioned yet? Let me know in the comments. Coming up next, we'll talk about how this linebacker room fits into the bigger picture and why this group could be the engine that drives the entire Cowboys defense in 2025. So why are we spending this much time talking about linebackers? Simple. Because in a Matt Eberflus defense, they're not just another position group. They're the heartbeat. Everything flows through them. Eberflus doesn't rely on exotic blitz packages or overloading fronts to create pressure. He believes in discipline, speed, and swarm tackling. That only works when your linebackers are fast, smart, and aggressive. In his system, these guys aren't just chasing running backs. They're dropping into zones, disguising coverages, rallying to the ball, and setting the tone. Miss a read, and the whole defense suffers. Nail your assignment, and suddenly you've got a unit that plays like one, tight and explosive. Remember how Eberflus turned Darius Leonard into a turnover machine in Indy? That wasn't just raw talent. It was about putting him in the right position, letting him fly to the ball, and emphasizing takeaways every single rep. That's what he wants to replicate in Dallas. And you better believe he sees a few guys on this roster who could become that kind of playmaker. Now, this doesn't mean it'll be easy. The Cowboys are transitioning from Dan Quinn's more aggressive, splashy style to something more disciplined and execution-based. That shift is going to expose players who can't play assignment football and elevate those who can. And this is where the linebacker group becomes so important. Guys like Eric Kendricks bring that mental sharpness. Players like Overshown and Clark have the athleticism to cause chaos if they stay locked in. It's all about balance. The right blend of IQ, effort, and instinct. Here's a thought for you. Do you think the Cowboys' defense will be better, worse, or just different under Eberflus? Drop your vote in the poll right now and explain why in the comments. Because next we're diving into a bold prediction. How this unit could go from a question mark to a strength. And maybe even the X factor that gets the Cowboys over the hump in the playoffs. Let's be real. Linebacker hasn't exactly been a position of strength for the Cowboys in recent years. Injuries, inconsistency, and constant coaching changes have turned what used to be a cornerstone into a rotating cast of, let's hope this guy pans out. But under Matt Eberflus, that narrative could flip. Why? Because Eberflus knows how to take underappreciated talent and mold it into something special. He's not looking for stars. He's looking for guys who buy in, who trust the system, who show up every snap with the same hunger. And right now, the Cowboys have a group that fits that mold better than you might think. Let's look at the pieces. Eric Kendricks isn't just here to be a veteran voice. He's Eberflus's hand-picked general. He knows the system inside and out. That's going to accelerate the learning curve for younger guys like DeMarvion Overshown and Damone Clark, who both bring rare athletic traits to the table. Overshown, in particular, has the kind of sideline-to-sideline range that made Darius Leonard so disruptive. But it's not just about movement. It's about mentality. The Eberflus defense thrives on effort, running to the ball, punching it out, making the smart play over the flashy one. That's where these linebackers can shine, especially in a unit that's preaching fundamentals instead of freelancing. Now here's the bold prediction. If this group stays healthy and buys into the philosophy, they could not only stabilize the middle of the defense, they could become the identity of it. Think about that. A Cowboys defense led by relentless, disciplined linebackers who force turnovers and fly to the ball? That's not a dream. That's what Eberflus is building. But what do you think? Is this linebacker core being underrated right now? Or do they still need to prove they belong in the playoff conversation? Let me know in the comments and hit that like button if you believe this group could shock the league. Next, we'll talk about the pressure and the expectations. Because when you're a linebacker in Dallas now, it's no longer just about filling a gap. It's about becoming the engine of a championship defense. If you wear the star on your helmet and line up at linebacker, you're stepping into a legacy. Think about it. Chuck Howley, Leroy Jordan, Thomas, Hollywood Henderson, Dexter Coakley, Dat Nguyen, Sean Lee. These weren't just good players. They were tone setters, leaders, Cowboys through and through. And now, under Matt Eberflus, there's a renewed expectation for this unit to get back to that level. But let's be clear, that legacy isn't a weight. It's a challenge, a fire starter. And Eberflus knows how to use that to push guys to be more than just role players. He wants competitors who take it personally when a run goes for 6 yards. He wants linebackers who don't need the spotlight, but who thrive in it when it comes their way. That's why this transition under Eberflus is bigger than just scheme. It's cultural, It's about reestablishing a standard, one that goes beyond talent, one that demands toughness, preparation, and accountability. If that sounds like old-school football, it is. And that's exactly what the Cowboys need in the middle of their defense. Picture it. A defense where the linebackers are no longer a liability, but a strength. Where they're setting the tone, calling the plays, and flying to the ball. It's not some fantasy. It's what Eberflus has already done in Indy and Chicago. And with the pieces Dallas has in place, he might just do it again. So now, the question flips to you. Do you think this linebacker group has what it takes to live up to that Cowboys legacy? Can they carry the torch passed down from the greats and maybe light a fire under this whole defense? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a breakdown like this. Because with Eberflus now pulling the strings, linebacker might just go from the Cowboys' biggest question to their biggest answer.